In this short video, I want to show you how to maximize your insurance coverage and minimize your premium. Now, that's a fancy way of saying how do you get the most coverage and the most value for the least cost. One very quick housekeeping tip before I begin. I want to make sure that we don't just focus on cost when it comes to insurance, because unfortunately, insurance is one of those things that if we look at just paying as little as possible for it, you're not going to get the best value. You're going to be in a position where you ultimately, out of pocket over the course of your life, will end up spending more as a result of trying to be extremely price conscious. So make sure that insurance is one of those things that you're not just looking to pinch pennies. However, we also want to make sure that our insurance coverage is not a money leak and we're not spending more than we need to. Now, when we look at this relationship in a contract between you and the insurance company, what's best for the insurance company? Well, to have the lowest risk, which would mean to have the lowest amount of coverage per person so they don't have to pay out big claims, and to receive the most premium from you in return. So they would get the most income and have the most profitability, and they would have the smallest amount of liability, so the smallest outflow in terms of claims. Now, what do you want? The exact opposite. You want to pay as little as possible, but you want as much coverage as possible. So how do we help you get what you want and make sure you pay as little as possible for it? Now, when we look at the liability portion, this all connects into the number one way to save money on insurance. If you look at the liability portion of the underlying coverage of your auto policy and your homeowners, liability is really this piece of your insurance protection that covers you if you damaged someone else. On your auto policy, that means if you are found at fault for an accident and that injured a person or multiple people in another vehicle and it damaged their vehicle or their personal property, or even if you crashed into a light pole or a curb or a building and that damaged that property, you are liable for those costs. Now, same goes for your homeowner's policy. If somebody slips and falls while they're at your home or your business, or if they become injured or sick while they're on your property, or if you're in a position where your property, like say a dog, your dog bites someone else and you're out in the park playing, it's not on your property, on your premises, but this is something where your property is causing injury to someone else. Now, in these cases, liability protection is what covers you and pays that financial claim so you're not paying that out of pocket. Now, here's the number one way to make sure you maximize the value on your coverage. Make sure that you have at least as much liability protection on your auto policy and your homeowner's policy as is required in order to qualify for an umbrella policy. An umbrella is additional liability protection that goes on top of your underlying coverage and extends that liability protection up to usually $1 million or $2 million. And depending on your assets, you could even have more than that. Now, what you're looking at is you're saying, if somebody were to file a claim against me that I'm responsible for, and I was sued and found to be at fault, how is that going to be paid? If there's a cost that extends beyond the auto policy and beyond the homeowner's policy, that liability umbrella protection policy is going to pay for that. And here's the good news. Umbrella policies, dollar for dollar in terms of cost of coverage, are very inexpensive compared to your auto policy and your homeowners. Now, why is this the case? We know that the insurance company is more likely to pay out those small claims at the bottom because they're more common. It's more common to have a $25 health insurance claim or need than a $2 million health insurance visit or medical visit. It's more likely to have $1,000 damage to a car than it is to have $100,000 damage to a car. So when we look at those odds, the odds of paying out a humongous claim are less. So the probability of having to pay that is less. So if it were to happen to you, though, you don't want to be in a position where you have to come out of pocket for that, because chances are you don't have $1 million or $2 million laying around just to cover those costs for the sake of it. So what you want to do is, instead of maximizing the liability on both your homeowners and your auto policy, you want to make sure you have at least as much as required in order to get that umbrella policy. And then that umbrella policy over the top is going to be very inexpensive compared to the auto and homeowners. For instance, I've seen about $2 million Umbrella policy costs about $300 per year. Now, I hope that this destroys the myth that umbrella policies are only for the rich and famous. Everyone should have an umbrella policy. It just makes financial sense and it puts you in a position of peace of mind. It also gives you a tremendous amount of coverage for a low premium, and this extends the value of your insurance while keeping as many of your dollars in your pocket as possible. Go ahead and check out the podcast for more information about specifically with your property and casualty insurance, how to make sure you maximize your value and shrink your premium. Hey, thanks for watching. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, click the link in the description box below for more information. Like this video, share your comments, questions, and feedback in the comments section, and don't forget to hit subscribe to our YouTube channel.